The building was dead quiet after midnight. You'd never believe this was the same place that buzzed with noise during the day. Maybe it's true what people say where there are too many people. Something else lingers after dark. That night, I was on the night shift with a new guy, Ben. We were in the security office when I told him, "You stay here and keep an eye on the cameras. I'll go check the floors and seal the storage rooms." He sighed. "Man, every night with those damn stickers. Rules are rules," I said, grabbing my flashlight. It was close to midnight. I stepped out of the office, pressed the elevator button, and waited as the old freight lift groaned open. The light flickered. One bulb had burned out weeks ago. The elevator had 6 floors on its panel, but it only went up to the 4th. I started from the top. Everything on the 4th floor looked fine. I sealed the rooms, double-checked the doors, then hit the button to go down to the 3rd. The light above me flickered 3, maybe 4 times before staying on. My stomach dropped. Shit. If this thing loses power while I'm inside, I'm screwed. It wasn't the first time the power had cut mid. I turned on my phone's flashlight, just in case, and stepped out onto the 3rd floor, the one everyone whispered about. Some of the older guards said they'd seen something up here. I always brushed it off, until that night. I didn't even want to look inside the storage area, just sealed the door as fast as I could and got back to the elevator. As I waited, I watched the numbers go down. 4 gives, 3 gives, 2. Then the display froze on 2 for longer than it should have. Someone must be getting in, I thought. When the doors slid open, no one was there. The hallway outside was empty, not a sound. I leaned out, checked both sides, nothing. Maybe someone called it and decided to take the stairs instead. I shrugged and went down the stairwell myself. When I got back to the security room, Ben looked up from his phone. "Anyone else in the building?" I asked. "Nope," he said. "Why?" That simple answer made my skin crawl. I didn't want to think about what else could have pressed that elevator button. We killed time playing a few matches on our phones to stay awake. The hum of the monitors filled the room. Then, during a loading screen, I caught something, a faint white blur, moving across one of the monitors. I froze, looked up. Through the small glass window of our office, I saw it, a pale, human figure gliding silently down the hallway. "Ben," I whispered. "You see that?" He turned, and his eyes went wide. We both watched as it drifted toward the stairwell and disappeared around the corner. We rewound the footage. Nothing. The camera showed an empty hall the entire time. That was the moment I realized what we'd seen wasn't meant to be caught on film after that. I never worked a night shift alone again. If it shows up again, I'll come back here and tell you the rest. Unless it follows me home first. I used to work security at a seafood processing facility near a small coastal harbor somewhere in the States. I won't say exactly where, to keep the company out of it. This was around 2013 or so. My schedule was 24 hours on, 24 hours off. It was a long, lonely job, especially at night. When I first started, one of the senior guards, Dan, warned me, "Stay away from Bay for at night, man. People see things down there." The plant was divided into several sections, Bay 1 through Bay 7. I usually worked Bay 1 or Bay 5, so I never paid much attention to that cursed spot. A week later it happened. It was around 2 a.m. when a coworker, Vince, came sprinting from Bay for all the way up to the front gate where I was posted. His face was pale, drenched in sweat. I asked him what was wrong, but he didn't say a word, just jumped on his bike and tore out of the lot. I called the supervisor to report it, thinking Vince had broken protocol. The supervisor paused, then said quietly, "Let him go. We'll deal with it tomorrow." That silence told me he knew something. The next day, Vince's mother called in. He was in the hospital with a fever and wouldn't be coming back for a while. When we visited him later, he finally told us what he saw. "I was patrolling near the fence," he said, trembling. "Then I saw a woman walk right through it, like the metal wasn't even there. She headed into the open lot behind the storage shed. I thought it was a thief, so I shined my flashlight on her. I yelled twice. She didn't answer. When I got closer and the light hit her face, he stopped talking for a few seconds, shaking. Her face was red. Not normal red glowing, like it was burning from the inside, and huge, bigger than any face should be. I ran. We didn't laugh. Not after seeing how terrified he looked. After that, no one wanted to take the bay for shift. So, the supervisor made a deal. Anyone who takes bay for at night gets the dorm area during the day. The dorms were for female workers who stayed on site, so yeah, I volunteered. I was young and stupid. The first few nights were fine. Then came the third. Around 3 a.m., I leaned back in my chair, half asleep. I wasn't dreaming yet, just drifting when I heard the faint sound of footsteps. Small ones, light, like children running around. I opened my eyes, or thought I did, and saw shadowy figures darting past me. Little shapes, giggling softly. Then one of them kicked the leg of my chair. I fell hard onto the cold floor. My body hurt, but I couldn't move. I couldn't even open my eyes. I lay there, frozen, hearing whispers and faint laughter. When I finally managed to move again, they were gone. Only a stray cat from the workers' dorm was sitting nearby, staring at me. I looked at my watch. 4 a.m., and the cleaning crew had just started their shift. I told myself I must have dreamed it. 3 nights later, I was back on bay for duty. The single overhead light had burned out, leaving the area in near darkness. I parked myself inside a delivery truck, shut the door, and tried to sleep. Somewhere around midnight, I felt something tugging on my leg. At first, I thought I was dreaming again, but the pull got stronger, more violent. I opened my eyes. The cab door was still open, and below me, a pale hand was gripping my ankle. I looked down, and there she was. The same woman Vince had described. Her face ghostly white this time, eyes black and wide, her mouth stretched into something that wasn't. "Quite a smile," I screamed, kicked free, and ran straight to the front gate without stopping. The next morning, I quit. Didn't even wait for my paycheck. Months later, I heard someone mention what the site used to be. Before the factory, before the warehouses and trucks, it was a children's hospital. Closed down in the late 80s. After a fire. I still dream about Bay for sometimes. Every time, I hear the sound of tiny feet running past me, and that same soft voice whispering from somewhere in the dark, "Don't sleep here." My name's Chris. My family owns a small roadside motel, but after years of helping my parents run it, I got sick of the routine. I wanted to do something different, something that didn't keep me stuck behind a counter. A close friend of mine, Tom, worked as a security guard for a mid-sized company. Nothing fancy, just warehouses and office spaces. One day over drinks, I told him I was looking for a new job. He said, "Why don't you come work with me? We could take the night shifts together. Makes the hours go faster." Sounded like a good idea at the time, so I applied. Got the job almost immediately. Night shifts weren't bad at first. We rotated 3 nights a week, 12-hour shifts. Everything ran smoothly for the first couple of weeks. Until that night, it was my turn to patrol with Tom. We split up. I took the north side while he checked the east. On my route, there was an old warehouse, long abandoned, lights stripped. Out years ago, I'd heard stories about that place before I started. They said a woman once worked there, some heartbroken girl who hung herself after a breakup. After that, nobody used the space again. Every time I walked past it, I'd feel this strange chill. That night was no different. As I passed the broken doorway, I heard something faint, a giggle, soft, feminine. It echoed down the empty hall, close enough to sound real, then faded like it was drifting away. I froze, pointed my flashlight around. Nothing, just dust and silence. I took a few more steps. Then came the sound of crying. Low, muffled sobs. The kind that sound like they're coming from the back of someone's throat. My skin crawled. Every instinct in me said Lee. I turned around to head back to the security office. That's when I heard it, a faint worry, like a fan, or an air vent spinning. But that didn't make sense. The whole building had been shut down for years. No power, no working fans. Still, the sound kept going, mechanical, steady. I slowly lifted my flashlight toward the far end of the room, where the noise was coming from. And that's when I saw her. A woman, perched on the vent shaft. Her long black hair hung down in tangled waves, swaying slightly with the turning blades. A rope was looped around her neck, cutting deep into the skin. Her eyes were wide open, staring, unblinking. In the corners of her mouth dripped blood like ink spreading in water. I couldn't move, couldn't even scream. I waved my flashlight like a signal, trying to get Tom's attention through the security window. But he didn't come. He thought I was joking. I waved again, frantic this time, until finally he jogged over. I pointed at the vent. He looked, and I swear to God, his face turned to stone. She was still there, hanging. The body swayed slowly, though the air was completely still. We both ran, didn't even stop to lock up. By the time I reached the office, my hands were shaking so bad I could barely dial my phone. I called my mom and begged her to come get me. That night, I left and never went back. I had a fever for a week afterward, chills, nightmares, the sound of that spinning vent echoing in my head. That was my first and last night working as a security guard, and sometimes, when I close my eyes, I can still hear that faint worry, like something in the dark is still turning, waiting for me to come back. It was August 2008. I'd just graduated high school. But college wasn't an option. My family couldn't afford it. So I took a night guard job at a power company. Locals called it the building, but rumors said it used to be a cemetery. They'd built right over it. I've always believed in ghosts. Told myself, live right, harm no one, and the dead won't hurt you. Still, when you see one, you'll piss yourself anyway. They paired me with a new guy named Tim. A month in, on a cold, rainy night, we had the graveyard shift. Around 1 a.m., too wired to sleep, we made coffee and decided to patrol the main building, 3 floors, all dark. In the lobby we heard it, clack, clack, clack. Footsteps, hard soles on tile, slow and deliberate. We killed our flashlights and crept up. Security? Stop right there. I shouted. Silence. Every door locked. No one there. Then the steps came again, from the third floor. We split up, climbing separate stairs to trap whoever it was. When our lights met at the top, the hall was empty. And then clack, clack, clack. Now from below. We didn't wait. We ran straight outside and stayed there until morning. Later, the maintenance guys just laughed. "You heard the lady," they said. "She walks every rainy night." I tried to laugh it off. Ate my soggy sandwich. A few hours later, my stomach knotted up. I couldn't move. And then I saw her, a woman standing in front of me. No face. No sound. Just there. She leaned down, pressing me into the floor. Cold, weight, wet hair, the smell of soil. I tried to scream, but only bile came out. Then everything went black. Tim woke me at dawn. "Man, you threw up all over yourself." I told him what happened. He quit that day. I left a week later. Now, every night I burn incense before bed. But sometimes, when the house goes quiet, I still hear it clack, 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 walking just above me. About 15 years ago, I worked as a night security guard at an old food processing facility on the outskirts of the city. The place used to make canned soup and sauces, but by the time I got there, most of the equipment was decades old. Heavy, rusted, and groaning when the wind passed through the vents. The main building had 2 floors. The ground floor was a maze of pipes and machines. The upper floor, connected by a long metal catwalk, led to a row of old offices nobody used anymore. The only way up was through a locked iron gate halfway up the stairs. I was the only one with the key. The first few nights were dead quiet, just the low hum of distant machinery and the occasional creak of metal cooling in the dark. But on the 4th night, something strange started. Around 2 a.m., while I was making rounds, I heard a clank. It came from above, from the catwalk. I aimed my flashlight up there, but nothing moved. The metal gate was still locked. No sound of footsteps. No sign of anyone. When I climbed the stairs to check, I noticed something odd. The safety helmets hanging on the railings had changed positions. There were 4 of them, dusty and untouched when I started this job. Now one was gone, missing completely. I searched. The offices, empty. No windows open, no other exits. I chalked it up to bad memory. Maybe Maybe one had fallen and I just didn't see it. The next night, I came back and saw all 4 helmets back where they were. Only now, they were lined up perfectly straight, facing the same direction like someone had adjusted them with care. The air felt heavy up there. Something about the silence made my ears ring. When I turned to leave, I heard it a slow, dragging sound, like a chain being pulled across the metal floor. Then, tap, 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 behind me. I spun around. Nothing. Just my own shadow and the faint red exit light reflecting off the aluminum walls. After that, things escalated. Every night, something changed. The helmets would switch places. A chair in one of the offices turned to face the door. A calendar from 1993 kept flipping itself to August, the month an old worker had reportedly died on site. One night, I caught it, or at least, I thought I did. As I was making my rounds, the power flickered, and the monitor in the lounge, which showed the security feeds, glitched. For a brief second, I saw someone standing on the catwalk. Tall, wearing no face visible under the shadow. I rushed upstairs, heart pounding. The gate was still locked. No footprints? No sound. Only one thing was different on the floor. Beside the railing was an old metal name tag, rusted, bent. The name on it had almost worn off, but I could still read the letters R. McLean. When I turned in my report, my supervisor just sighed. He said, "Yeah, don't worry about it. That's why no one wants that shift." I quit the next week, and sometimes when I drive past that industrial block, I still see the flicker of light in the second floor window right where the catwalk used to be.